What is good, y'all? Welcome to Let's Cap. I'm your host, Ronald, also known as Youcapper from Sportsmemo.com, at Youcapper Sports on Twitter. Got my guy Chris with me. Chris be capping. Yesterday, dude, I think we had a pretty decent show. I feel like we broke down a lot of great things. We talked about a lot of plays. I feel like overall, it was actually a pretty dope show. How do you feel
We
about
did.
yesterday? I think our breakdowns were really good. I think some of the things that we did miss, we missed by a little bit. But some of the ones that we talked out and broke down really detailed, seems like they hit pretty well.
Yeah, I see.
That Denver one was pretty dope.
I
Like
was gonna say
in that first
Denver
quarter,
hit.
and
I know
yeah,
you talked about Cleveland and Cleveland and Miami to go under that hit.
yeah, yeah.
Talked about the team total to go under that hit. I talked about OKC and Phoenix to go over, and they missed about a point, even with Durant not being there. Like
That's the
that.
thing though. That was I feel like that was my fault. I wanted to text you too. I was like, man, that was my because you talked about Phoenix team total over
Mhm.
specifically, and then I was like, what about Thunder team total? So I kind of talked you off a little bit, I think, but
No, no, no,
yeah,
no.
that was
I
my
still
bad.
liked it, bro. I still liked it. I still liked it. I like both, honestly. And they should have got there. They didn't score the last 2 minutes. I stayed up and watched the end of that. But yeah, we also talked about the over. That was my best play of the day. The over in the Hawks game. I hope I
Yeah.
talked you on to that one. The
Yeah,
Hawks
yeah.
and the
I
Wizards.
got lucky on that Washington Wizards plus 3.5. They we got KP hitting that three at
KP
the
hit
end.
that three at the end. Yeah,
Finally, something goes my way though. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I'm like,
Well, let's just say this, RC. Whenever you're taking the Atlanta Hawks to cover on the road,
yeah.
that's already a bad spot anyway because they don't play defense. So it was supposed to go in. There you
Yeah.
go.
And then the my top bet of yesterday was the Cavs and the Heat under. It was looking nasty. Then we had a sweet fourth quarter. So that was really good to have that on my side as well. Um, I think we did. Then we talked about Boston first quarter. We talked about I talked a little bit about the Boston line there. I think it was telling a story, and they ended up winning by 22. Man, we had a really good show yesterday. The one that sucked though for me was Dallas and the over. Dallas did not show up offensively at all.
And then Luca got
Uh,
hurt. Yeah, that didn't
no,
help.
Luca got hurt.
Ingram got hurt. That didn't
Yep,
help.
exactly. So I think overall yesterday we did a really great job breaking down games. We did I think overall really well. So hopefully we continue to do that today with the games that we want to talk about. 6 games on the slate. Let's get into it. Let's go with me and Chris was talking right before the show. I think we're gonna skip the Jazz and Magic. I just feel like there's not much to like in there, and we also have some injury report stuff to worry about as well. So don't want to take the time to do that one. But we do have the Hornets and the Pistons, and I believe this one was your best bet of today, right, Chris?
Yes, sir. I see.
I talk about it, bro.
Yeah, man. So we've been fading Charlotte as far as the taking them to go under in the last few games. RC, especially without Lamelo. I think the big thing is just without Lamelo and Detroit as well. Detroit are without a lot of their offensive guys. You see a total in this one. I actually saw it open at 227.5, and it got bet down immediately when I saw it this morning. I actually caught it at 226.5, but just looking at just the analysis around it, RC, both of these teams rank, bottom one and the bottom two offenses in the league, and there are a lot of big, injury implications for this game. You look at Detroit, and they're 15th defensively. Charlotte is the best defensive team post All-Star break, RC, which is absolutely insane.
That is
Uh,
crazy. Yeah.
and combined, these teams are 12-2. RC, I got Detroit at 5-2 to the under post All-Star break. With their games going about 215 points on both sides combined. And then
Yeah.
on the opposite side, Charlotte 7-0 to the under post All-Star break without LaMelo, and their averaging point total is about 213 points. So I just don't see offensive explosion in this game
Yeah.
at all. I know that injury-wise, Detroit will be getting back Duran, which I think helps the defense.
Yep.
And I think they also getting Killian Hayes back, which also he helps us to go under as well because we're not looking for him to do anything offensively. So,
Yeah.
if anything, he just limits the minutes for Jaden Ivey, who's actually been balling recently, back-to-back double-doubles for him. But,
Uh-huh.
all those things considered, RC, I think it's still a little meat left on the bone in this game if you wanted to jump on the under.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think so too. I think it's gonna be hard for them to reach 220. I think the other thing we were talking about was possibly just focusing in on that Pistons team total under as well, right?
So can I break that down real quick,
Yeah, go
RC?
ahead, bro.
So I just talked about the Hornets being the number one rated defensive team post All-Star break. They're allowing 107 points, RC, post All-Star break. It's only been a 4-game sample size, but they played against some pretty good competition without LaMelo. So on one side, you got the pace that slows down without LaMelo. We've been talking about that for about the last week. But on the opposite side, they only allowed 107 points to 4 different teams. The Magic scored 110, but they held the Knicks, the Nets, and the Suns all under 110, which is what the team total is for the Detroit Pistons right now. You look at the Pistons on the opposite side, RC, they're only averaging 104 points in 7 games without Bogdanovich this season. They're 5-2 to the under on their team total without Bogdanovich as well. And the Pistons will also be without not just Bogdanovich, but Alex Burke is out, Isaiah Stewart is out, Hamidou Diallo, who we talked about right before the show, is out. And they're only getting back Duren and Killian Hayes in this spot. So I think the pivot could be just towards Detroit to go under their team total as well, RC.
Yeah, the thing that you mentioned, so obviously, so this is the Hornets after the All-Star break, right? You mentioned the 7-0 to the under, how well they've been doing defensively here. They've been limiting their opponents by good margin here. I think one thing here that you see is the Magic going over by 2.5 points. I feel like maybe that was just a tough spot there for them. As far as I think the length is a problem for them in that one. I think that the Pistons do have some length here. That could be something that could put us off as far as like the team total under. But for the most part, if you look at just the Pistons, right after the All-Star break as well, they're 0-7 straight up. They're averaging 104.1 per game. And for the most part, they are going under their team total. They did go over here on this game here versus the Wizards. They did go over against the Bulls there, but I think the things that you mentioned was the offensive rating, right? The pace of play, the defense from the Hornets side. And then also you talked about, I think you mentioned the Bogdanovich effect, right? I mean, we talked about it on the show before, but the Pistons without Bojan Bogdanovich, 0-7 straight up, 1-6 against the spread, 5-2 to the under, right? And you're seeing that they're still that 104.4, that 104 mark is what I'm seeing consistently, right? That might be the area that they're going to be in, that threshold of like 104 to 107. What was their team total again today?
110, RC.
110. Yeah. I think that's something that we see today. Obviously, I don't. There's so many ways to look at this, right? A lot of things point towards the Hornets to cover, but I don't know if I could do that, without LaMelo. Defensively, they're the better team. Offensively, they're both in the bottom of the league as far as offensive rating, 29th and 30th. I just feel like the under is the way to go. I don't know. What do you think I know you, so we both already took the full game under, right? Do we add on to that team total under on the Pistons side?
I think I don't think it's a bad look, RC. I think if you do, because I just don't see the Detroit team scoring 110 points. And we just show you, like, we do this all the time, RC, where we break the games down and we talk about Bogdanovich not being in there, right? But if you're actually watching Detroit, because I watch these games, I'm watching all of them. If you watch Detroit, what Bogdanovich does for this team, he spreads the floor, right? He's somebody that you have to stay attached to because he has an elite ability to be able to shoot the 3-point ball. When you take him out of the lineup, then it clogs the rest of the lane, it clogs the lane, because now I don't have to stay glued to my man in the corner, kind of like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, right? Where you have a lot of space to kind of, get into the lane and maneuver. Nobody else on that team can really shoot the ball. So if I can play with one foot in the paint, you know what I mean?
Everything basically, even their offense is clogged in the paint, right? Because
that's my point. They don't have anybody that can extend the floor, so it just makes it that much harder for them to score. So I think the pivot towards the team total, I think I might play RC. Even if I don't put a full unit on it, I think I might put half unit on Detroit to go under their team total as well.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think they were going to be the drivers for the under anyways, right? Because Hornets defense and the Pistons offense, just combining that together, it seems like that's the way to go. I think you're right. I think we just take both. We both already took the full game. I think we also take the Pistons. Like, even though it's the same game, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. I mean, if you find an edge, you gotta take it. Pistons.
Yeah, and last thing I see real quick, you got the Wizards game up there. The Wizards talked about that game being a trap game. Kuzma came out in the post-game interview and said that, we knew that this team, not having a lot of their guys, it was going to be a trap game. I think for Charlotte, them on the outside looking in, like they're not gonna make the playoffs. For them, it's not a trap game. Like they understand that they're not good, but they probably want to prove their worth against the Pistons and not lose that team, even after coming off a loss as a 10-point dog against the New York Knicks the other day. So I don't think it'll be trappy at all for this team.
And it seems it seems like it's continuing to go down too.
Is it still 110.5?
No, I mean the full game.
Oh, the full game, yeah.
Yeah. It's been sitting at 225 after how it opened. I think we both got it at 226.5.
Mm-hmm.
It stayed at 225 for a while. Now we're seeing 224.5 at Circa, and I like to use Circa as far as on this page as the main book.
Well, I see what I said when I was doing a breakdown is that in Detroit 7 games post All-Star break, they're only averaging 215 points combined, and on the Charlotte side, in their 7 games post All-Star break, they're only averaging 213. So I mean, neither one of these teams are averaging more than 220 points in the game. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's still a little meat on the bone.
I think so too. I think there is. It's going to be tough for them to reach 225 with how bad they are both offensively, in my book. But obviously, it's stuff can happen. But I trust our capping on this one. I love the under in this game. All right, let's move on to the next one. Apparently, Zachariah is going to the Magic game. Where do you write it? The Magic and the Jazz game. So maybe we do want to talk about it just a little bit. Let's give Zachariah some stuff to think about here. But did you cap this game at all in any way?
Not really. I see. I think for me, the reason why I faded is because of the injury implications in this game. We got Walker Kessler, who me and you talked about right before the show.
Yeah,
listed as questionable. Jordan Clarkson had the wrist injury. I think he's also listed as questionable. He didn't play in the last game against the Dallas Mavericks when they did lose. I know that the Thunder, not the Thunder, the Jazz have been losing games. I think they've lost 3 in a row outright. I think they covered the last one in Dallas. They did show a little effort in that game. Orlando, in my estimation, is the better team, but we typically don't like backing them as a favorite. I see. The other thing I think about when I'm thinking about X's and O's and how the games go, if you go to NBAstats.com, RC, the Utah Jazz have one of the best defenses as far as their ability to guard the 3-point line. You don't score a lot of points at 3-point line against this team. They just kind of run you off the 3-point line. They much rather you drive in and try to score on Walker Kessler.
Yeah.
But they give up a lot of points in the paint. And conversely, RC, if we think about how Orlando scores the ball, they don't shoot the 3-point ball well. They typically drive into the paint. So to me, this would go towards Orlando. This is how I'm thinking about the game, because Orlando, I'm pretty sure they score a lot more points in the paint than they do from the 3-point line. What you coming up with there?
Yeah, so points in the paint post All-Star break, they both actually are up there. So we got the Magic and the Jazz up there. As far as defending the paint, Magic is 6. Obviously, they got that length there. It's crazy to think about the Jazz being like lower as far as limiting opponents in the paint, because he's so good defensively. He gets the stats, right? He gets the blocks, he gets the steals, but I think it's just the fact that he roams around versus playing that. I don't know. To me, he gets numbers, but it's not like he's actually a defensive stopper. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
No, it makes perfect sense. On him. Because they do so frequently, you know what I mean? Like he could get in foul trouble. He got to come out of the game, like at some point in time as well. And then you got in there, Kelly Olynyk, like he's not guarding nobody. Laurie Marketing, they're not guarding nobody. You know what I mean? So I think it kind of makes sense, especially if you got a big RC that you put on the on the outside. So Wendell Carter Jr. is out for this game, but if Wendell Carter Jr. is matched up against Walker Kessler, Wendell Carter Jr. can stand at the 3-point line because he can shoot the 3-point ball. Then you have all access towards the paint. Like you can go into the paint of Walker Kessler at the 3-point line. So to me, I think advantage goes to Orlando, but there's nothing that I put in my pocket.
Yeah. So this one, all right. So this is why I can't back the Magic as home favorites. So if we look at them as home favorites in general, right? 3-6 straight up, 2-7 against the spread. But one thing that I did, we typically just filter for this, right? Sort it out and see what they do with the bigger lines and their smaller lines. Dude, they've been covering these larger lines, but not covering the tighter ones. Um, if we go and say line, if they're favored by 5 or less, they're 0-6 straight up, 0-6 against the spread. They're losing by a pretty large margin on average. Obviously, this one's a little bit tighter here by just 3 points, but for the most part, 7 to 8 points, the double digits on these ones here. Combined score above the current total as well. So I was kind of leaning in that direction. Munaf mentioned to add not C for Magic. So let's go home favorite. Not C. So 4-0 to the over. Oh, okay. So yeah, there you go. 4-0 to the over. Also support to fade them as well. The biggest thing though to your note is the questionables on the Utah side, right? This is something. These are impact players as much as the Jazz roster is made up, Clarkson and Kessler are probably two of the more important guys that you want to focus in on as far as like what affects the outcome of the game, right? So I overall, to me, I would lean towards the Jazz. I would lean towards the over as well. This one actually does make me look towards the over a little bit more than anything on the side. But yeah, that's the only way that I could look. Do you see anything from a prop perspective? Can they take advantage of the paint there, or you really can't touch it without knowing whether or not Kessler's in there, right?
Yes, him and Clarkson. I
Yeah.
think Clarkson also listed as questionable. Clarkson just had a career high 12 assists, recently too. RC, I think it was the game against the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday. So, like you said, that just the way that they impact the game, he is like pretty much their only ball handler outside of like Tyler Horton Tucker, if you want to call him that. So, it's a tough one. Honestly, it's really really tough, man.
Yeah. I don't know, from a matchup perspective too, it doesn't look like they're like in the middle of the pack, something that maybe it'll be too tight, especially Markkanen at 39.5. His PRA was like 35.5 the other time. So they bumped it up a lot. I probably wouldn't touch it at that number there. All right. Well, not too much for us on this game here. Looks like some people in the chat got some stuff though.
Maybe Paulo. Paulo's averaging 20.7 post All-Star break, and he does a lot of his damage inside the paint. And if they won't have Walker Kessler, I could see him, pretty much having a big game.
Yeah.
Paulo Banchero or Franz Wagner. Those the guys, like those the ones that take all the shots. They the two, leaders of the team.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too. I mean, I think they're just gonna have trouble with that length in general. I mean, everyone has that trouble with their length, but it's just putting everything together for them that they struggle with, especially on the defensive side. All right, let's move on to the next game. Rockets and the Pacers here. I have the under in this one, 236, and I think it's 236.5 now at some books. Let me just double check that. Yeah, some books has 236.5. There's 236s in there. I like the under in this one. Did you have anything on this game specifically?
I see. This is a tough one, man. It's a tough one because as much as I want to get there on the under with you, KPJ I think is the biggest part for me on the under. And it's the Rockets' just ability to be able to shoot the 3-point ball. They really really struggle in that spot, specifically on the road. I think they're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams on the road, if not worse, probably the second worst team on the road.
Yeah.
So I can understand your look for the under. I was actually really close. I don't think anybody in the world is doing this today, RC, that probably doesn't live in Indiana. But I was actually really close to laying the 10 points with the Pacers in this.
Really?
Yeah. So let me tell you why. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. But let's look at the Rockets as 9 point, because I think it's 9 point dogs, 9.5 point dogs. Let's look at them as 9 point dogs on the road. So road dogs of 9.
Damn.
All right. So now what I want you to do, I see. So just looking at that screen right there, right? So what I want to tell you is their opponents are 13-6 to the over on their team total. When the Pacers are 9 point road dogs or more, including 9-1 in the last 10 meetings. And the Rockets are 0-9 straight up, 0-8-1 if you add RC that the total is 230 or higher. So just add that the total is 230 or higher. they don't score on the road when they have high totals. Is what I came up with.
What are you talking about? The Rockets?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes that all right. So you're all right. So you mentioned KPJ, right? So let's bring that up because that's what I looked at too.
Yeah, I got it in my notes too.
Oh, you got it too. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we go Kevin Porter Jr., not in player list name. So we have three. Shit, is that right?
I got well, I think that is right. I looked at it post All-Star break though, just
Oh,
like more
okay, yeah. So
recently.
just in general, right? 3-18, 6-15 against the spread, averaging just 110 per game. And I think it was not C here. Non-conference game. All right. So 1-7 straight. Look at how much they're averaging. 104.1 per game, allowing 111.63 per game. I just to me, there's pace of play that comes into a factor when he's not there. Defense also is a factor, and then obviously their offensive efficiency. I look at the number as far as offensive efficiency. It's only slightly worse. It's not that much. It's more the pace and the defense that is affected here. The other thing to mention too is I looked at so they both of these teams like flew under the first matchup, right? So what I did was look at this season. I think it was P OU margin. There it is. So I just basically said, these two teams played earlier this season and they went under by 36 or more. Initially, I did 40 or more. There wasn't a big sample size, so I brought it down a little bit, and it was 36 or more. And for the most part, they're going under by a pretty decent margin. Obviously, this one was pretty tight, but five or more points, double digits on this one under. They're not gonna score 190 like they did in the first matchup. I just think that this total is still a little bit too high for them as far as like how they are offensively. Also, Pacers, they just scored 140 points in the last game against a pretty solid, typically a solid Sixer squad in regulation, no OT. To me, that's almost like a letdown spot offensively here, coming from the Sixers conference team that you look up to in the standings to a non-conference team that's even worse than you are. Where's the motivation and offense in that spot? In my opinion, right? So I think for me, letdown spot offensively for the Pacers. Rockets already struggle offensively on their side of the ball, so overall, just an under game for me.
To everything that we're saying, RC just kind of pushes me more towards the Pacers to actually cover the spread, because one thing I looked at, RC, if you just add like what you got right there, if you just add after All-Star break, and then you take away the game with the Spurs, because they're 5-1 in this spot. You see how many points they're scoring. They actually have the second rated offense, RC, behind the Sacramento Kings post All-Star break. Like, this team has been balling. Tyrese Halliburton is averaging like 33 and 12. Like, it's crazy what he's doing right now. And they've been crushing their teams.
That break was good to them, because like even when Hallie came back after the injury, pre All-Star break, there was a bunch of games where their offense looked like crap, but that All-Star break they came out fire. But I don't know, man. I just feel like there's a letdown spot here. Obviously, they can cover this. I think this line is there for a reason. Same thing that we talked about yesterday, the Celtics. That line is there for a reason as well. Rockets are just bad. Do you think we focus in on a team total? I mean, I already took the under full game, so I'm not. I'm just like trying to. Look
at this. Actually, take the Spurs game out real quick, and then one more thing I want you to do on the Rocket side real quick, and I just want your thoughts on this. So if you take the game, because Halliburton didn't play in this game, that's the game he set out. They're averaging 130 points in these games, right? And I'm not trying to talk you onto the over, because I definitely don't think that the Rockets scoring 128 points tonight, as you can see right there, right? But then, like, if you look at the Rockets side, right? So just go Rockets post All-Star break.
Oh, Rockets. Okay.
Yeah, let's look at the Rockets post All-Star break. They had 2 games, RC, against the Spurs where they gave up 110 points apiece, right? So it looks like they've been competitive in those games, right? You see, they're only losing by 10 points.
But isn't this the one where what is that shit called, the rodeo travel or whatever Munaf mentioned?
Yeah, the first one, yeah. So look, so that's what I was gonna tell you. So now take the Spurs games out, RC. Just take both Spurs games out. because Kevin Porter Jr. like KPJ wasn't available in those games. Look at that. Like they are getting smashed. Smashed, RC. 0-5, like you said, you can see it. 0-5 straight up and against the spread, losing by average of 18 points, allowing 122, and they're allowing 63 in the first half.
What about this first half then? All right, so let's go back to the Pacers side. See, that's not significant at all.
No, but they've been playing up the competition. This is the first time they've been favored. And they're a big favorite too. Hey, I said, can we look at that? I never thought about that. Can we look at how teams do when they're coming off like that? You see that spot you was just looking at? Like they were like 7-point dogs, and then they go to 9-point favorites. If you go back one more, no, right there. So you see it said Pacers when they closed at 6 because Halliburton got ruled in. Yeah, but they were 6-point dogs, and they went to 9-point favorites. Can we look at that?
Like the gap in the line.
Like how teams do when they're coming off being a 6-point dog and then a favorite of at least 9.
So let's just. Are you talking about this season or just in general?
Just in general. I mean, we live
let's go.
Right?
All right, so let's go. P line is greater than or equal to. Let's just say 5. Let's open it up a little bit, just because the margin of the lines is sometimes off, and then. Line less than or equal to -8. Overall trends towards the under, marginally, towards the favorite in this spot as well. Let's look at this season in general, or let's just by season.
And after All-Star break too, I see when these teams have shut it down already. Because you got the Pacers are playing for something, and the Rockets are not playing for anything for Victor Wembanyama.
Damn, look at that, 13-0 in 2020.
I like it.
So if we go back, you can go back pretty far. It's just not consistent year to year. You know what I mean? Like so there's like a 17-7, 12-4, 13-0. This season seems like it's going in the direction of taking the favorite in this spot. Inconsistent on the total side too. So let's just look at these games here. Celtics, Pacers, Blazers, Magic. Yeah, look at the Rockets. I think it's smash.
Yep, that might be it. That might be it. I started this off by showing you something where they were 3-15-1 against the spread as a road dogs of 10 points or more or 9 points or more.
Yeah. Were you gonna get there with the Pacers?
I don't know. I see. That sounds scary as hell. They haven't laid that many points this year, but the shit just makes sense when we capped it that. When I capped it that way, I'm like, damn, I really like the Pacers today.
I don't know, man. That it makes sense. It makes sense. I just don't know if I'm a shit. Yeah. I don't
when
know.
The Rockets are double-digit favorites, RC, they only cover 3 out of every 15 times.
Wait, double-digit dogs?
When the Rockets double-digit dogs on the road, they only cover 3 out of every 15 times of 9 points. It wasn't even double digits. It was just 9 points. And then, like I said, when that total was what was that total? 230 that I gave you. They're 0-8-1 against the spread.
Man, why are you trying to convince me to take the Pacers?
Hey, I'm not, bro. Blame it on killersports.com. I see not
yeah. All right, that's a lot on that one. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. I think, like I said, I already took the under. That Pacers makes sense. Maybe we find a live line, dude. Maybe we find a live line. We'll see. Kind of like man, I don't know if I can take Pacers for first quarter though. I was gonna say maybe the same thing as the Nuggets.
I thought about that too. I can't do it.
All right, let's move on to this Nets and Bucks here. Did you have anything on this one?
Nah, too many injury implications in this game.
Giannis is out now, right?
Yeah, Giannis is out. Yeah, so Drew Holiday is out. Yeah, I'm off this game.
That takes away what I said on
Team equal Giannis. No, that's right, RC. It is team equal Giannis.
So what I said on Jay's show, shit, wrong way, was Bucks first quarter. But I was assuming that both Drew and Giannis was gonna play. But they have a huge first quarter margin here in double digit favorite situations, even though they don't cover full game. They are covering that first quarter for the most part. I mean, plus 7.5 margin in the first quarter is pretty significant. And this, I would have thought, especially with the Nets, everybody in the Nets sitting, I would have thought that the Bucks just take care of business in the first quarter, then coast the rest of the way, try to just maintain it and manage the starters minutes. But with Giannis out, I don't.
RC
I don't like
question.
it as I don't like it as much, but I think it's still the way to go.
I was just about to say question for you. Instead of before you throw it in the trash,
Yeah.
what about if we go to Spodevs and see how they do as 10-point favorites without Giannis?
Shit, have they been? Well,
Maybe.
I guess
Are
we would.
they still 10-point favorites? Let's see.
No. I think it's like 9.
Came down to 9. It was at 13, right?
Drew is playing, yeah.
9.5.
9.5. All right, so let's see what lines they have. See, that's the most significant line favored. So let's just say favored, because there's a big gap there. 8-1 straight up, 7-1 ATS, 5-4 to the under. First quarter, not that significant.
What about if you add Drew Holiday being out too, RC? Didn't he get ruled out too?
No. I think Drew's in.
Drew got ruled in. He got ruled out.
Drew has both. When I woke up this morning, it was Drew and Giannis both probable. Then Giannis, I think the fact that everybody sat made the Bucks sit Giannis.
Got you.
I think they still want to get the dub. I do.
Me
think
too.
That, yeah.
So add Giannis, add Drew in then RC, because I know they missed a couple games together. It still feels like it should be a spot where we could look towards maybe the total when we take it under. I feel like it's still too many points. It's still 231 points.
Yeah. So they've covered every game, or they got to push here, but 5-0 straight up. First quarter margin 3.2. A lot of it is coming in that second half. You see that gap in that second half, especially that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Will we just say at 9? At 9, that first half, what would the first half?
5.5, 4.5,
5.5, 6.
Yeah.
So if it's at 5.5, let's just. I initially like that first quarter. What is it now? 3? No, I'm not gonna fuck with it. I want to say if it's tight at half, we just take the Bucks second half.
I can see that. Yeah, I still think they win the game.
They have to win the game. So if they're not covering that, I mean, not have to, but I feel like they should be able to, even without everybody, without Giannis. Nets are sitting Dinwiddie, who basically is the second guy there. I don't know.
I feel like the total is too high. I see it's 231. Don't you feel like that's too high for a game without Giannis? And you're talking about a Brooklyn team that just struggles to score. Like, can we look at Brooklyn real quick post All-Star break?
Yeah,
and they already missing
from South.
No. Well, yeah. Let's look at it this way as well. But I just want to see their offensive rating.
I think their offensive rating is bad post All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like one of the worst.
I thought so too.
Yeah, 26th offensive rating.
And now you're subtracting guys. I see Cam Thomas and Bridges. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Cam Thomas is out. No, Dinwiddie.
I mean, not Cam Thomas. Dinwiddie. I meant my fault. I'm
sorry. Bridges is playing though.
Bridges is playing. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Bridges is playing. So what
Bridges
I see
is playing. You're right. Cam Johnson.
What I see is Claxton, Simmons, Cam Johnson, Dinwiddie, and O'Neal are all out.
Right. That's a lot of scoring. I see.
That is. But then you got guys like Cam Thomas to come off the bench.
That's one
guy only
though.
scores.
He only won though. I see. He only won.
Man.
Can we go back to Killer Sports real quick? I see. Let's just see them post All-Star break. I just want to see where they are, like as far as scoring. I know we saw it just now, but like see it from this perspective.
Yeah.
5-2 to the under, 225. The total only dropped 2 points from 233 to 233 and a half down to 231 and a half. And this is live cap because I'm just looking at it, I'm like, man, that total seems pretty high.
233s. Does Middleton get inserted into the lineup? How many did he miss in a row before today?
Who's that? Middleton?
Yeah.
He didn't miss any. He played in the last game when Giannis and them
Did he?
sit against the Wizards, yeah. Because he had 10, I think he had 10 assists.
Gotcha.
The next team total is 110.
What up, Josh?
Hey, what's up?
What up,
you,
Josh?
you got a prop play on this one?
We're talking about the Bucks game.
Yeah, Bucks.
I don't know the price yet, but I want to get Bobby double. I saw Middleton on Twitter Space. People are giving Middleton like points and rebounds or something like that. It looks a good play to me. But I want to play Bobby double.
Hey Josh, real quick question for you. What about Pat Connaughton? Not Pat Connaughton. What about Grayson Allen threes? That was something I was looking at because we know the RC. If you go back to NBA.com and you look at opponent 3-point percentage, Brooklyn is bottom 5 at defending the three, and he's I think hitting the most threes over the last 5 games for the Bucks. I think he's hitting like 3 a game right now, so he's in pretty good form.
Let me see what the price.
And I think I saw that plus 108, 118, something like that.
Hey, you can't talk me off of plus by 3-point play. I'll tell you right now. Grayson Allen over 2.5 is plus 120 at DK.
Okay. RC, can you go post All-Star game real quick? If you go back to the other screen.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, I feel like their defense gets even worse. I know you got it at 25th right there. Okay, it's about the same.
40,
so opponents are shooting 40%. That's a pretty good percentage.
The other thing that I was looking at though, Chris, is that the amount of 3-point attempts that are being shot is not that high though.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
attempts. Okay.
Yeah, attempts. It probably has to do with not needing to shoot threes to get the win against the net. I mean, just talking out loud, that's probably what.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Portis. PRA. All right, points and rebound. Man, I wish this thing had double.
Porter's double is minus 140. It's unplayable for me.
Damn, that's crazy.
And so ever since that Giannis news came out, it's tough.
Portis over. This is probably not the number anymore either, huh? 26.5. It's probably higher now. Points and rebounds. Yeah, for me, I liked that. Good thing I didn't take that first quarter yet.
It's still 26.5, I see.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just checked it. Yeah.
It's a busy day today. I don't know how you guys can pay attention with everything going on right now.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of basketball, college basketball, not stuff. But
all right, so I think I'm gonna stay off of this one now. But initially, I leaned that Bucks first quarter. What were you thinking on this one, Chris?
The under. I think the under. I mean, I see it coming down still. I didn't even know it was 232s out there, but that under seems like the play for me. With only Drew in, not having Giannis, I feel like they typically play better defense. So yeah, that's the way I would look. I think Brooklyn probably struggles to get to 110 today. I see, given all the offensive guys.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Just that team total under on the net side. Wait, can we maybe we look at that real quick because I feel
110 to 120 is what the books have.
I feel like their team total unders were hitting for a while. No. I guess
they also played the Rockets though, so you're gonna get your team total against the Rockets.
Wait, he went under. They went under against the Rockets and the Hornets. They go over against the teams that the Knicks and the I'm not gonna fuck with it.
They're on the first leg of a back-to-back.
Oh shit, I didn't even know that. But I mean,
okay.
They had
you gotta save for tomorrow.
Man, I don't know, man. They must stay off of this one. What does that help you for the under then? The first leg of back-to-back game.
Remember, we were thinking about. Well, I know I told you this last week on the show. I see, like, if it's a conference game, and post All-Star break, if it's a conference game, and your next rest equals 0. Oh, it's come back up now. Because remember, we were cashing on this spot at first.
Oops. Hey, what? Hold on. What just happened? All right. So what did I just do? Oh, I tried to split. I thought it was gonna be split. Okay, hold on. Let me put it on the road. So road.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. So they
gotta say something for
first
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Say something for tomorrow, I see.
Damn.
A lot of when we were doing this last week, you see all those unders.
Yeah, for sure. Then 4 straight overs here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. I mean, form wise, not good. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on. I think I'm gonna pass on this one. Initially, like I said, I like that Bucks first quarter, but not anymore. But I wouldn't doubt that it still hits. To be honest, it might be that injury replacement theory type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to the fuck happened? Yeah, I think that Bucks probably might still get it done even without Giannis.
Facts.
Damn, they're just okay.
What was the ATS record, I see? What that we had just put up on Killer Sports
For the road?
Yeah, they're 7-10.
7-10.
Okay. They're all. What if they're? Can you make them? Can you make them dogs real quick?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Even more.
More
to the under.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Appreciate you, my guy.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Let's go to Warriors and Memphis. This one, I like the under in this game. I did one of the YouTube shorts this morning, and that play was on the under. Did you guys have anything on this one?
Josh, go ahead.
Okay, cool. I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry.
Nah, go ahead.
Let me find my notes I put on here. I'm playing Draymond rebounds. The reason for this, his last 2 matchups he had with them, he had 13 each. And Grizzlies allowed the most boards to power forwards. So it's kind of up. So right now you can get it at DK plus 105 over 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to do what I did last time on Chris's show. I'm going to pair that with 2 assists with Steph. You can get that with if you ladder Draymond's rebounds to 10 and Steph 2 assists, you can get plus 300 on that.
I like it.
But official play will be Draymond over 7.5 rebounds plus 105.
So you're expecting a lot of bricks, right?
I am. If it's no Adams, it's gonna be. I feel like they're just gonna be like small, even though they got like big guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Bane, and they can rebound. But I think I think Draymond will get his.
I mean,
Bane can't rebound, Josh.
He's tall. Doesn't mean he can.
You got anything on this one, Chris?
I think in order, so there's a correlation between like taking players' rebounds to go over and them actually having to play defense. I know, some people was on Draymond rebounds in the last game. RC, he had 1 rebound against the Thunder the other day.
Without they play?
They played the Thunder. Remember, they gave him like 150 points, right? So if you don't get a stop, you can't get a rebound. Right. I like Josh play. I think I would pivot towards his rebounds plus assists. I think I saw it at 15.5. I do like that line a lot, Josh, because I do feel like, Draymond, he just put the video out yesterday, going back and forth with Dylan Brooks. So he definitely going to bring something, that's a little added motivation. He typically clears this line against them as well. This is a tough one though. I can't back the Grizzlies right now. Without all the turmoil they got going on. It's also their first game back home. On the Warriors side, just 7-25 straight up on the road. I do think that if you like the Warriors, RC, I think you take the over. One thing I looked at was in all 7 road games that the Warriors have actually won, all the games have gone over. They're 7-0 to the over. So if they're gonna, if you in the games that they lost, they also like 11-3 to the over as well.
Yeah, I think no matter how you cut it, it's probably gonna point towards the over on these road games. Also, points towards them not covering or winning this game. But I think just current form of the Grizzlies is terrible right now.
No, I agree.
Especially on the offensive side of the ball.
So what I got, RC, was in 5 home games without Ja this season, Memphis actually plays at a faster pace, but they're only averaging 115 points. Versus 119 in 26 games with Ja actually being in. And then Memphis is also better defensively without Ja as well. They have a defensive rating of 107 and allow just 119 points in 26 home games. Versus with them, they have a defensive rating of 104 and they're allowing just 115 in 5 home games without them. So that's some more support towards the under. I think if I'm playing a game, I'm only looking towards the under RC. But watching Golden State play defense is, it'll make your eyes bleed if you're looking for a stop. So
don't let KC hear that.
I know. I think she would agree with me on that part.
So I mean, the biggest. So this is what the trend that I did earlier this morning on my YouTube short. So this season, conference games, conference home dogs, right? Both teams have a winning record, and then the conference home dog is on the third game in at least I think it's 4 nights, third and 4 night. Wait, hold on, let me write that. Is it 3rd and 4th?
I think that's right. I see.
Third
they
and
had
five,
a back to
3rd and
back.
4, 3rd and 5, I think. Let me just make sure I got that correctly. The translation.
It's 3rd and 5.
3rd and 5, right? Yeah, at least a 3rd and 5. So they could also be at 3rd and 4. So that has been going under this season, 18-3 to the under by pretty big margin. We see that the Warriors and Grizzlies here. The Grizzlies show up a couple times here, a few times actually. So you see them a bunch. Warriors, I don't think they're on this list. Oh, they are here. Well, did this one go on? Yeah, that one went under. That was a recent game as well. So a lot of things to me, just for me, this one is big to under. If you look at just the Grizzlies side in general, they're struggling offensively. I think it's like 17 of their last 20. They've gone under their team total. I know on the opposite side, the Warriors have not playing really good defense, especially on the road specifically. But I mean, I think they're, from what I heard in that interview, that this is going to be a physical game. These guys don't like each other. I feel like there's going to be a lot of physicality, and that's going to affect the pace of play. It's going to affect obviously the shot making ability for some of these teams, for both of these teams here. So to me, I think this is an under game. I truly believe that. I don't know what to do with the side spread or the spread or whatever perspectives though. So I don't know.
I really like the under for everything what you're saying right there. Like,
okay,
you're talking me to the under, and it's like Rob would say, you're opening my wallet to the under.
You're opening yeah. Hey, buddy.
And like, again, like, I hate to say this, but like, playing off the podcast and like the history between these teams,
yeah,
I gotta shop around, but I gotta play one backpack trade 3.
He's gonna he has to let it go at some point.
He's gotta let one fly.
Yeah. But it just doesn't matter if he's gonna actually make it. But that's actually pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I like that. Sometimes the narrative plays a lot into how you play the game. All right. Anything else on that one before we move on to the last game? No? Okay. So Knicks and the Kings here. Chris or Josh, anything on this one from you guys?
I have no plays on this game. I haven't done any research yet, but
okay. Chris?
I think the big thing, and I guess it's kind of indicated by the movement of the line. Honestly, I wanted to get in on the Knicks when they were +4, but I didn't do it because I don't know the status of Mr. Brunson, and I feel like the NBA is probably just going, give it to us at the last minute. We probably won't know until about 10:05 because the game starts at 10 Eastern time. But I think it's a Knicks spot, bounce back spot for them after having a straight up loss as a home favorite. And I think it was the wake up, a double digit home favorite, right? I think it was a nice wake up spot for them. The Kings are the best offense in the league right now, but they also, one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah,
and the Knicks are a lot more balanced.
Exactly. So if we look at that real quick, right? So you mentioned the post All-Star break, the Kings are the best offensive rated team, right? The Knicks are not far behind. Mm-hmm. I think this 129.1. I feel like that's an outlier. And what I wanted to bring up too, what I talked about on Jay's show is
probably their opponents. They've been playing.
Who did they play? Exactly.
Nobody. Yeah.
All right. So
Jay talked about that last week.
They beat the Thunder twice. They beat the Clippers twice. Everybody's scoring on the Clippers right now with Westbrook there. they beat the Blazers. Blazers defense is terrible as well. They lost to the Wolves here, and they beat the Pelicans. Pelicans have been in bad form as well with all the stuff that they got going on from an injury perspective. I, I don't. They're getting these dubs. They're getting a lot of respect. They obviously they're in second place, right? But some of these wins here, specifically post All-Star break, they don't move me. That they're not telling me that they're actually worthy of that second spot at the current moment. Obviously, the Grizzlies, they should be with what they have, should be a little bit further down in their standings as well. So there's going to be a lot of movement in this Western Conference in the last part of the season, and I think once they're looking at their schedule, right? I mentioned that sort of I would say like a non-conference conference type of sandwich spot here because they got the Pelicans here. They beat them. They got a non-conference game here against the Knicks at home. Then they got a key game here against the Suns up next. I know KD is out, but at the same time, that's still a key game in my book, especially going on to the road. So last of a 4-game homestand going on to the road. Then they got the Bucks next. This is a tough 2-game schedule here. This, like you said, I think this is a spot for the Knicks here to take care of business. I know I said it too earlier. We missed the best line, but this might be the spot where you just take the Knicks money line. I think the other thing to mention, Jay said, well, the reason why he was not too strong on it was because they had to travel from east to west. But we already talked about it before. Ham and a lot of the guys that travel from east to west before post interviews, they mentioned the jet lag happens actually on the second game, not the first game moving over. So this would be the first game going from east to west. I do think that this is the next spot where they bounce back off of that double-digit favorite loss and then also move over here. And we talk about one thing that actually Jay mentioned I didn't even think about was Kings when they're more rested. Didn't make sense to me, but 5-13 straight up, 4-14 against the spread. Somehow they're not covering when they're more rested, the more rested team, and that's what the spot they're in today. Maybe it's just a little bit of an over adjustment on the line. I don't know. But to me, a lot of things are pointing towards the Knicks. And the other thing to mention too, I think the total is up there way too high. It went up. I think some of the books are at 240 now. Well, some hit 240 and some came back to 239.5. But we already talked about that 240 threshold, right, Chris? A lot of those games past January 18th have been going under. The Kings as home favorites are an over team. Oops. 17-8 to the over, right? But if you look at the Knicks side, total greater or equal to 230. They don't have a lot of those games on the season just because of their pace of play and also their defense, right? They're 6-2 to the under. This game actually went over in OT. They were under by a point or a point and a half, by a point or two in regulation. So it could have been 7-1 to the under if we just stick to regulation, but it obviously went into OT. I would think that there's still movement. There's a chance that this goes under, even though it's a Kings game. I also like the Knicks in the spot, even though we missed the best of the number. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, actually, can we look at the Knicks? They got hot probably about 3 weeks ago. Like, what if we just look at the Knicks like middle of February, like February 10th or something like that? I don't know exactly when it was, but I feel like the Knicks, if we look at them with a total of 230 or higher in that spot, we'll probably get even more support. So when did they get really, really hot?
As far as their win streak right here?
Yeah, just winning and
Do you want this one here or just?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
The January 24th. Yeah.
And a total of 230 or higher.
So in general, 14-5 straight up and against the spread, 11-8 to the over.
But their total is low though. That's only 224. So we look at the higher totals.
So we look at these higher totals, 230.5.
Go overtime. Take the overtime.
They did go over. This one did go over in OT. This one stays under.
Yeah, take the overtimes out and see. Let's see what the totals end up being. I think it was 4 games in there with overtime. One of them had double.
All right, so this one went over against the Jazz. Both teams on the second leg of back-to-back games, so no defense played in that one. And then for the most part, we have the most recent stretch of just unders here, right? Their defense being really solid there. So
if you add
really
all three of the games that went over, I see they were on the second leg of a back-to-back.
They were?
No, so one of them they weren't, but that'll bring the over/under trend and make it even stronger as well. So the total just keeps going under and under. Like now we got a total of 220.
You're talking about combined score, right?
Right. It's combined score 220 points. And the Kings are the best offensive team at home, but to me it just feels like it got to be a Knicks spot because who's stopping the Knicks from scoring? Who? I agree with you on the total too, but I think I
just feel like it's way too high still for a Knicks game. Hold on, Kings. And home. Uh, 5-5. There you go.
Look at that first half, though. See, I think that could be we know that when we play the Knicks, I know a lot of people always talk about it in the chat. When you play the Knicks, you typically want to play them in the first half because if they're flying from East Coast to West Coast, then the second half is what could get to them, right? Mm-hmm. The Kings are on a nationally televised game as well. They typically don't get that spot, so they will be motivated for this game, to have the national spotlight on them. To me, it kind of feels like a Knicks first half spot because that's typically when you could trust them the most. I'm pretty sure if we go to EV Analytics, they got the better first half ATS record as well.
About the
Knicks first half.
Oh yeah. But wasn't it in recent games they weren't hitting? If I'm not mistaken, I just feel like that's something that we saw recently. It might have been. Oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. It's a different team. It was the Bulls and the Nuggets that we.
Yeah, it was the Bulls and Nuggets. We talked about that yesterday.
So home, we look at the Kings right here, 4-6 on the road. What? Oh, Knicks right there in the middle. Yeah, I mean, season long though, they've been one of the better teams, right? Yeah, 20-12. This actually gives me the good thing that the chat brought this up, or Adam's Soner. For bringing this up because I think that maybe it does talk me off of that under a little bit, and then Munaf brought up some stats here as well, pointing towards the over 2, but this does still keep me on the Knicks side, right?
Yeah, I think if anything, RC, if you don't want to play the spread, you just play the team total for the Knicks over. The Kings aren't stopping anybody. You know what I mean? That's what that way you're safe. Like you play the
no, but the other thing though, Chris, if we take all right, so let's go back to the Knicks though. All right, so let's go back to the Knicks here. My worry is that they could still cover and not go over their team total.
You think they could win the game like 115 to 112 or like 118 to 115 or something like that?
It's high enough for them to do it. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like that's the situation that we can see.
What about Kings' home favorites, RC, versus non-conference opponents with high totals, like some of the best scoring teams in the Eastern Conference?
I forgot how did they play against each other earlier? Hold on, let me see. It went under 112 to 99.
That game was on December 11th.
That was way long ago. Okay, so this is different. Yeah. Fox didn't even play. All right, so it makes a lot of sense more now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Oh, Josh is back. What were you saying about
home favorites and non-conference opponents? I see. No, keep Kings. I want to see how they play because I struggle to want to bet under against the Kings when they're at home, because their offense is so good, right?
Yeah.
But what about the high totals when they're in non-conference games?
So these two went over. This is December and January. So let's go back to say greater than 235. And then we'll we'll go by date. All right, it's already by date. So
More unders recently. Than overs.
more unders recently. Yeah. They're not covering. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like they can still fail to cover, and their opponent team total still go under. You know what I mean?
But the Knicks offense been so good to RC. We just saw them rated 6 offensively. Do they do they still continue to score and just light the Kings up today?
Oh,
It's a tough one. That's why I'm on the sideline.
Do you guys like the first quarter? Knicks first quarter?
Knicks. Yeah. I was just talking about that, Josh, talking about the first half specifically, but I think it could be first quarter or first half for the Knicks because that's when they play their best basketball. And if we're thinking about body clock, I know RC and Jay always talk about this, but it won't affect the Knicks until probably the second half, right? They'll be excited about being able to come out there and prove their worth after losing as a double-digit home favorite in the last game in the beginning of the game, right? And if it's a team that I worry about running out of gas, it'll probably be the Knicks versus it being the Kings who, this has been at home. This is like 3 games in a row at home, RC, for them. So I'm more so worried about the Knicks in the second half because we've seen them, kind of blow leads. They had a 15-point lead or a 17-point lead in the game the other day against Charlotte and lost that game outright in the second half. So I think Knicks first half would be the play if I'm playing anything in this one.
First half team total?
Just first half.
First half. Okay.
First half in general, yeah.
I think that's a smart look. So what I just looked at here is Knicks as road dogs in non-conference games, right? So east to west, and then their previous game is a conference game. So typically it would be on the east side, regardless of whether on the road or at home. Only 2 games, 2-0 against the spread. Both times they went over the team total. This one did go into OT, so we could see if how much points they scored in that. Okay, so they went over in regulation. So I would say, yeah, maybe the team total over or that first. Look at that first half gap. that's hella.
Hell of a call by URC. Not a road dog, not conference, and previous conference. I like that. I got to write that down.
Because I think it makes. I mean, the problem with this though is they play against Minnesota and Dallas, which typically, I mean, they're Western Conference, but they're not on the West Coast, right? So the travel spot isn't as terrible. That's the only thing that I could think of that is wrong with this one specifically.
What about Kings RC after they played 2 straight home games and the next game is on the road? I feel like this is a spot that we faded them in earlier in the season.
For the last game of a road trip?
Last game of a homestand. Nah, not really.
Might have been a different team.
Yeah, maybe it was a different team.
I think I'm gonna stay off of that total, and just I still like the Knicks in this spot.
I do too. Knicks team total. Knicks first half.
Fuck yeah! Damn that first half. First half.
You just trust the better defense, I see. You trust the better defense,
right?
And yeah, I mean they have no paint protection at all. Like Sabonis is playing with one hand. You also look at the Knicks. They can fill it up with the best of them. And you also just think about how bad we just looked at the Kings defense. It's like last, You just go with what you see. And we talked about previous opponents. I see. Like this one's pretty simple. Like it's Knicks or nothing. Like especially based off the opponents that we see them play. They beat the Thunder without SGA twice, and a bunch of other non-superior teams.
So you're going Knicks first half. You don't like the full game?
I don't like the full game as much because I've seen the Knicks kind of melt away games before I see, but I couldn't talk you off.
Let's look at this. Knicks. Benjamin Rash put something up I want to look up. Josh, anything on this one from a prop perspective or anything?
I want to play Fox points, or maybe PRA would be a better look. But you got to think if you're gonna have a better bounce back game from Randall. The other day, everyone was talking about Randall triple double, Randall threes. I don't know.
I like that, RC. That just made me like Knicks first half even more.
I know. Yeah, shout out to Benjamin there. That first half margin. That I think I'm gonna do that too. Then I think I'm gonna get there with the first half. It might be that thing where we did yesterday, right? If you let's take the Knicks first half. If they don't cover, take them live. I think. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. All right, Knicks first half. Good shit. Do you think, Josh? I know you mentioned Fox. What about Sabonis?
I was looking up that apparently when you ever plays against Randall, because they used to be the East together and the Pacers. I don't know if they played ever again with those Pacers, but I was reading something that they match up pretty tough, him and Randall.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know
Stay
if he'll
away
get
from
his.
it.
I don't know if he'll get his triple double or not.
Huh. Okay. Because I was looking at his numbers too. Might be the way. That from a prop perspective, I was thinking him over Fox. I think they're I just feel like if the pace of play, right? The pace of play, and if I like the under, initially I like the under. I was thinking there's gonna be a lot of rebounding opportunities for Sabonis. That's kind of the way I was looking at it versus Fox. But I mean, Fox points seems like that's the way to go too. Because I think
Yep.
if Brunson plays, I looked at it, their defensive rating is actually worse
Mhm.
with Brunson. So if he plays tonight, Fox might get that points.
One other look I haven't played yet, but I'm still looking. It's because it's kind of I've been snake bitten before. Is Keegan Murray threes? So you,
Keegan Murray threes.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good look. All right, so I think that is everything. That's 6 games. Yeah. All right, we went pretty long. Josh, let's start with you here. Recap. Talk about some of the plays, your official plays here.
The first game we started on was the Nets game, right? That I hopped on with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Officially, official plays that I'm on is Draymond over 7.5 plus 105. You can get that in DraftKings, and as well, the other play assist play I like is Ivy over 6.5 or 7.5. I think on DK you can get that plus 107. But I really love Ivy double double, but the value really dropped. I got it earlier at 950, but now it's like plus 555. But
That's still so good. Yeah.
yeah, but the two officials I love is the Ivy assist over 6.5 plus 107, and then Draymond over 7.5 rebounds plus 105.
I like it. I think someone mentioned it might have been Mitch. I can't remember, but Ivy points. I know you mentioned his double double and his other stat, but what do you think about his points? I think plus 20 or more was like plus 115 or something.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a sprinkle.
All right, Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I look at his points more probably than his assists, just with Killian Hayes coming back.
Yeah.
But I couldn't talk you off taking the assist. I think Josh got some solid looks for sure. For me, official plays I see. We talked about Charlotte and Detroit. Team total under 226.5. Played that. Still like it right now. Also, I haven't played it yet, I see, but I'm gonna put a little something on probably just a quarter unit on Detroit team total to go under the 110. I just feel like it's too many points in that game. Strong lean towards Indiana to smack up Houston tonight, minus the 9.5, but didn't play that one officially yet either. And then Golden State and Memphis, I see. I think you kind of talked me into that under. Didn't play it yet, but really like that under a lot. And probably going to take the Knicks as well. Always transparent. Haven't put it in yet, but Knicks first half. Just so I don't got to worry about the second half. I think the Kings will be motivated in the spot, but I think the Knicks are the better team overall current form.
I do too.
If Brunson is in. I want Brunson in, though.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. To be honest, I might. It almost seems like they could. I feel like this is a spot they could even win even without him. In my opinion, I think this is just a
quickly does do a lot. I see, and he's a better defender.
Just a bad spot.
So, yeah.
It's just a bad spot for the Kings, I think. All right, so for me, I did take the Pacers Rockets under. I took the Hornets Pistons under as well. Things that I'm gonna add to my card. The Knicks first half. Oh wait, I have the Grizzlies and Warriors under as well. I'm gonna add the Knicks first half. I'm also gonna put that Pistons team total sprinkle under as well. I think that was it. I feel like that would have been it. All right. Oh, the other one was Pacers. Are you actually gonna take the Pacers?
I gotta think long and hard and then pray about it. I see. I don't know yet. It should be a smash spot for the Pacers, though. I might just try to watch the game. I see if I can, catch a live line. Maybe that's 6.5 or a 7 or something like that. If the Houston Rockets come out with something, but I don't anticipate them to keep the game close today. I just feel like the Pacers are balling right now, and the 9.5 is there for a reason, like we talked about yesterday with the Celtics. I see.
Yep. All right, I think I'll look at that a little bit more. I mean, a lot of things that you mentioned kind of pointed in that direction. So maybe the Pacers, obviously a lean towards the Pacers, but I don't know if I'm gonna get there. All right. With that said, guys, obviously this is the end of the show. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you guys go and follow Josh Keo 88. We got Crispy Captain, 2 P's, 2 N's. Pretty close to his like a couple hours away from his spaces that drops every day, daily basis. And then obviously myself, Youcapper Sports on Twitter. With that said, guys, I always want to end like this. Whether you fade us or follow us. Wait. Sorry, I gotta promote my other show. The UFC show yesterday. We had Cap the Cage with YBB. You guys see him as YBB sometimes on here, but he has his personal account Gerhardt YBB, and then one of our other homies. I just met him this year. Harry, he's been a critical part of that show, bringing in UFC fighters. Yesterday, we had one of the top bantamweight fighters in the UFC, Adrian Yanez, on there talking about his upcoming fight against Rob Font, and then also a guy that he trained with who's fighting this week, Marab. He's fighting Poirier, and that one he dropped some great information, like inside information about why he thinks Marab is going to win. So if you guys have a chance, watch that show. It is here on that YouTube channel. But yeah, I wanted to promote that real quick. With that said, like I said, I always want to end the show like this, whether you fade us or follow us. It is on you guys to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time. Peace.